Hello, fellow sapiens. Here's an idea how to improve our democratic system. So many of us like the idea of direct democracy. But one problem of direct democracy is that voters do not have time to get involved in every issue. So if the parliament or whatever institution that you have vote on 100 or even more issues per week, then I as a voter do not have time to get involved in every issue. This is just physically impossible. But, so here's my idea. How can we save time on the behalf of the voter? Well, what I can do is that if I say, I don't have time to get involved in every issue, but, I know a guy named Bob, and Bob is really good at, for example, environmental policy. And I say, I trust Bob, so I allocate my vote to Bob. Just like, you subscribe on YouTube or Instagram, you just go in and, okay, Bob gets to represent my vote in certain issues, for example, environmental policies. That way, Bob can spend more time, or he can represent me, he can spend time on doing this thing, because anyhow what he's doing, he really likes such stuff. And I save time because I don't have to get involved in every issue. Basically, Bob represents me, just like our real politicians do, although with a much more dynamic way. This means that this saves time for me, and you could also have it such a way that you benefit Bob this way. Bob would say, oh look, I now represent 100 or 1,000 or even 500,000 people in environmental policies or whatever policies. And he may get compensated for that by the government. So if he gets, just like YouTubers or something like that, they get compensation for the number of subscribers, so could Bob. Which means that Bob, as his subscriptions go, if he's competent and people trust him, his subscription base grows, he gets money for it, which means he can get more and more time spent on these issues. He can become a professional representative. And what's good about this, compared to our current system, is that Bob will directly feel when something goes wrong. So if he doesn't represent people well, he will directly feel it in the following way. So if Bob F's up somehow in environmental policy, I then say, holy crap, Bob, this was terrible. Bob really didn't represent me well here. I now take my vote back from Bob. He no longer represents me. I either represent myself in every issue, or Bob number 2 over here represents me in every issue. And then Bob, who effed up, he will say, oh crap, like I lost 100,000 voters now. I really messed up. And he will see that in his bank account directly. So there will be a direct, immediate feedback from the voters to the representatives in a very dynamic way. And not this, 4 or whatever number of years you have today, where you vote once and then 4 years after, if they effed up, then you may see it. So there are of course some issues. One question is how to categorize these things. So how do we, the category of environmental issues or business issues or whatever, what categories should exist, if at all? Maybe they shouldn't exist. That's one question, and who should define those things? Another question is the problem of anonymity, because I as a voter should ideally be anonymous, but at the same time I need to know what Bob has voted for. Perhaps one can have it such that only Bob's representatives get a right to see what he's voted for. I don't know. We have to think about that. It may or may not be solvable. What other issues are there? So there's that. There's the anonymity. Another question is, but this is also a question in general with our current system. Who decides what issues to vote for? So, if law proposition 555, I don't know, just made up a number, if that appears, who makes those propositions? Because that's a lot of power, who I think one could make a possible solution is to make everyone able to do so. And then maybe you could have a voting system where, you sign your name for certain propositions to appear in front of this voting institution, whatever you're going to call it. So there are some crinks and quirks that needs to be solved, but I think it would be a drastic improvement of our current system. And if you think about it, this system would make our current professional politicians obsolete, which I hope we can all agree is a good thing.